Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. As usual, I am KaneLocke, and today we're going to backtrack a couple days here, and we're going to discuss some of the changes that the recent patches have made. I know I'm a little bit late with these, had some stuff going on, so I apologize. This might cover some information you've already heard, but I want to kind of give you my thoughts on some of these changes. So as you can see, the first change we're going to take a look at here is the balance adjustments. Now, as usual, it does the typical rigmarole of thanking you for playing and all that, but we want to go down here and actually discuss what they have to say about the balance adjustments. Now, as it says here, our goal is in respect Godzilla Battle Line is to create a game in which players can enjoy battling with their own team made up of a colorful array of battle pieces, each with their own unique and varied traits. Now, I want to take a moment to talk about that part because that's been one of my personal biggest issues with the game, is that yes, you can make up your team with all of the, 36, 37 battle pieces that they have in the game currently, but only about half of those, maybe even less, are actually viable to use competitively. And that's just unfortunate because some of those pieces that are actually, well-loved Godzilla universe monsters are just not usable. I think the most egregious one that isn't really usable is Kong. Kong is one of the most popular and well-loved monsters of all time, and he's been that way since the 1930s. So the fact that he's not usable, along with a number of other pieces, to me, this statement that they've made here seems a little bit disingenuous. Now, they are still trying, and obviously they can't make changes to all of the battle pieces in a single patch, but I want to kind of go on here and tell you why I'm being a little bit more critical this time. Let's take a look and actually see what the parameter adjustments that they've made are. So they say they reviewed the performance of the less frequently used pieces and adjusted those so they can create new synergies or give them some more gameplay viability. And I like the very first one. I got excited when I saw this because I've been saying since at least Season 2, Violente, probably more than any other 4-star in the game, needs to be buffed. She is just not terribly useful in any capacity. Now, she has the excellent anti-swarm abilities as a leader and as a unit, but the problem is that they've basically eliminated the use of swarms in the games, and that kind of is eliminated Violente's viability in Arena. Now, she is extremely useful in the event battles, but those are currently rather infrequent, which means that she just isn't useful. Now, they did listen to us because I know I've heard lots of people on Discord and on the Facebook groups talking about this. They increased the attack range, so she is now a long-range unit, as I recall, and that does actually help her usability quite a bit. And it also is still an area of effect unit, so it still has that anti-swarm ability. The problem is that's all that they really changed about her. Her health, especially compared to other leaders, is just way too low, and it didn't really give her any survivability outside of your event battles. That is just really unfortunate. Hopefully they're still looking into it, still looking into other units or other buffs that they're going to place to units, but this one for me was fairly disappointing. Now, the other one here that people were really excited about is Hetero and his mature stage. Giving him more attack power once again does create more viability for him. He's got decent health, all things considered. He's got decent range. He's got the splash damage. And perhaps even more importantly, he's got that damage over time effect on his death. That does actually make Hetero much more usable than he was previously. Going back to, I think, Season 2 was the last time Hetero was viable. And now, since this patch has gone live, I've actually seen Hetero getting a lot of use. And he does hit pretty hard, all things considered. If you pair him with the right units, he is once again viable, and the argument could be made he's part of the meta now. So that's really good. I wish they would have buffed his HP a little bit, but, you know, I can get past that. These other ones, again, we're not looking at a lot of viability for it. The B2 stealth bomber, let's face it, with the viability of ranged units in the game currently, especially with Godzilla Ultima and King Ghidorah, the B2 is just not going to survive long enough to be useful. They should have buffed his health up. But the funny thing about this is, I'm looking at some of these adjustments. Hetero, the stealth bombers, psychic chorus. These were all units that had been previously nerfed. And now they seem like they're trying to undo that nerf. It's almost as if they can't see the balance or the usability, or they're just looking at only those lesser used pieces and not taking into account some of the most common units that might be a little OP. For example, I've said that Godzilla 89 is currently the most viable unit, the biggest part of the arena meta to date, and that's because of a combination of his health and his ridiculously high damage output. Very few units besides Godzilla 89 can actually survive a single hit from him. Almost every other unit in the game is a 2-tap for him, and with the amount of health that he has, no single unit can take him on. That's just an example that I'm using here, that they're not looking at the most used pieces and wondering why they are getting so much play and these others aren't. It's not necessarily that the other units are bad, it's just that the balance is still not there between those 2-star units and even some of the 3-star units and those most common units. I would actually have loved to have seen a buff for the helicopter base or the tank base. Make those viable again. I've seen them get some play, but it's really not very useful because they just can't survive against the ranged units or even the other flying units in the game. So I think they just need to re-examine what the actual issues are. And perhaps everything, almost everything in the game needs something of a minor nerf. Not anything big, but something big enough so that they aren't dominating the arena, that you can start seeing more combinations. Now, the other one here that I haven't mentioned yet, the freezing Sunday. This one, they made the adjustments so that it's actually doing damage to the units within range, but that damage is so minor, even at higher levels on the freezing Sunday, it's not even really gonna affect the swarms all that much. The reason that Sunday was so valuable is its slow effect. Now, personally, I've noticed an issue, and maybe it's just me, But I've noticed that Freezing Sunday's slow effect doesn't seem to be working correctly. I've seen it used against multiple units, and none of their speeds are affected. And I don't know if that's just me, I don't know if it's a bug, but let me know in the comments below, in the Discord, Facebook, wherever, if you're having that issue too, so that way we can start reporting it to Toho if it is an issue, or if it's just me, since I don't really use Freezing Sunday all that much. And that's it for the balance adjustments. And, you know, again, some of these are positive changes, some of them have absolutely no effect. My issue initially was just, I thought that this was just a really light update. There wasn't a whole lot to it. Not a whole lot of meat to sink your teeth into, so to speak. And I figured, you know, that was going to be an issue. But then they released some of the other patches here. And I'm going to go over the issues found in-game, but frankly, if I'm remembering correctly, they didn't really update that list a whole lot. But I'm going to go into this one, because this is one that I am excited about. The new 4-star unit that's in the game as of now, 4-star Desghidorah. If you've spoken to me in the Discord server, if you've seen me around anywhere talking about the game, I absolutely love Desghidorah. He's got such a great aesthetic. He is such a unique version of King Ghidorah. He was so unique, in fact, that after he was released in Rebirth Mothra, years later, I think it was actually almost a full decade later, they would basically recycle this design and use it in 2004 for Kaiser Ghidorah in Godzilla Final Wars. And if you're looking at him here, I mean, you can kind of see why they reused that appearance, as he's just wicked looking. And so we'll go over some of what they had to say about him here. Desghidorah, the sinister monster from outer space who escaped from his tomb in Rebirth Mothra 1996, has been unleashed on the battlefield. This annihilator of countless planets is a terrifying aerial unit with attack power even greater than King Ghidorah. When deployed, Desghidorah inflicts the new burning status ailment on surrounding enemy units before delivering a piercing flame attack in a straight line to pin down his prey. Now, there is some great things to take away here. First of all, the new status ailment they've implemented, the burning status ailment. As of now, it looks like Ghidorah is the only one that has that, or excuse me, Desghidorah is the only one that seems to have that ability so far. I think we could see it in later patches. I'm not sure there's any units that would really work for right now besides him. But it's actually really cool that they took the time to actually add a whole new status ailment to bring with this character. That means that they probably have a lot of faith in this character's viability and his marketability. And I kind of agree with that, and we'll go on to why here in just a moment. Now, this is more of a description of his effects here. As it mentioned, his attack power is higher than King Ghidorah, and the flames that he uses affect enemies in a straight line, similar to the leader skill of Violente and Batra and Mechagodzilla. The difference here is that it's rather than really a true area of effect, it's a piercing damage, as it mentioned earlier. So it's going to damage the units that it hits in front, as well as the units directly behind them. And that's a little bit of a new effect as well, so that's pretty cool. The other thing that makes Desghidorah a really promising unit is his deployment effects. Similar to Batra, similar to... oh, I'm sorry, I'm just having a brain fart today. Similar to Rodan 93. It has that effect on deployment in a surrounding area, but this is affecting the enemy pieces, so it's a summon debuff, which I don't think we've really had in the game before. It's going to apply a stun to them, and he's also going to inflict that burning status on them as well. It's a damage over time status effect, obviously. So the other really great thing about it, he is an aerial unit, which means that he's going to be, at higher levels, potentially a viable replacement to King Ghidorah. Now, the issue with that is King Ghidorah actually costs 1 energy less than Desghidorah, which means Desghidorah is only the second unit in the game so far to have that 7 energy cost, just like Godzilla. So the debate really is that extra cost worth the benefits that he brings? And I think until we see him at higher levels, that debate is probably going to continue. He looks like he's going to be great. He's going to be a unit that hits hard enough that he's potentially going to be helping slow down or even eliminate some of those higher health ground units like Anguirus or Godzilla 89. But his attack at base level compared to King Ghidorah's, not a whole lot of difference. So we're going to have to wait and see how his attack increases as he levels up. I haven't yet seen anybody with it higher than level 1. You can get Desghidorah in 2 different ways. So they're going to go over that here. And this is something that I really, really like, and I really appreciate this type of release method. Previously, when 4-star units had been released, the only way that you were going to get them is by purchasing the premium pass, by completing all milestones in the free tier pass, or by getting lucky with one of the release exclusive maps, which still don't have that great of a drop rate for a 4-star unit. This, however, changes things up entirely. He can be obtained by using your event points, those coins that you're getting from playing the event and completing those missions. You can use them to actually purchase Desghidorah. That means that this is the first completely free-to-play 4-star unit in the game. You are guaranteed to get him so long as you get those 1,500 points, and I think a lot of us have already done that. By the time you get through all of the waves currently available, and the current Jaguar event will be more than enough for you to purchase Desghidorah. So that's really cool. That makes Desghidorah seem really special. The fact that when they included him, they chose this really player-friendly method to do that. They changed some actual in-game mechanics to be able to put him in, and he is one that can be obtained very easily by all players in the game. To me, that is really cool. Toho Games gets big props from me for using this release method. It's absolutely brilliant, and I hope to see more like this in the future. Now, the other thing to mention about him here is that he can, of course, still be obtained at that higher drop rate from the logging site expedition map, which does cost you that 2,000 diamonds if you want to gamble your diamonds on it. I know I've said in the past in my interview with Sir Melee that I recommend using those diamonds to purchase those special map packs. Now that I've actually had a chance to look at the drop rates and realize that it is only a 3% chance to get any 4-star unit, then I've determined it's not really worth it unless you don't mind the gamble. Frankly, I did spend some diamonds on it. I figured, what the hey, I'm not using them on anything else. I'll just take my chances. I did not get a Desghidorah battle piece. I'm not heartbroken over it, but that's because I knew there was such small odds of that. Again, it's just very expensive for a very small chance for us to obtain it. Gamble if you want. I personally wouldn't recommend it, but that is one of the only other methods of being able to get a Desghidorah battle piece, because he is not discoverable, as it says down here. It is not discoverable through the expedition maps that you get from the ranked battles. So that means even your 24-hour maps, Desghidorah will not be found in those. I think that's a mistake. I don't think they should have done that. I can see what they're trying to do. From a business perspective, it does make a little bit of sense. It's going to encourage some players who have that disposable income to purchase the diamonds to be able to continually try to get Desghidorah from that exclusive map. I don't like it, but I get it. Again, if that's something you guys want to do, just realize, again, you only got a 3% chance at getting a 4-star, period. You only get that 33%, or I think in the case of one of these maps, I think it said the possibility for Desghidorah dropping is up to 66% chance, but that's only if you get lucky and you get that 3% chance of getting a 4-star. Now, the other thing that's really cool about this, right below that, you've probably already read it on screen, Desghidorah will be included as an exchange reward in subsequent events. And if they keep him at this relatively easily obtainable 1,500 points, then that means each time that they're releasing the events, if I'm interpreting this correctly, and he will be available in the other events that will likely be forthcoming, that means it will be very easy to grind for his shards. Now, because the events only occur, I think so far it's always been at least 2 weeks into the month, you're not going to be able to grind for him and get him high level quickly, but you will be able to get it that way through the exchange shop, and everybody will have a pretty much even Desghidorah. So that again is really cool that they're doing that. Again, applauding Toho Games for this decision. Now, of course, these packs and the pickup maps, they are only available for a limited time. They may be resold again at a later date. That again is they're using a very common sales tactic. We call it in the business FOMO, or fear of missing out. Frankly, I wouldn't worry about it. You're going to be able to get Desghidorah in the upcoming events after the Jaguar event, so frankly, again, my opinion is not to waste your money. Now, they are talking about here also appearing new battle pieces will be added to the all-star battles as they appear. So what that means is each time they add a new unit to the game, they're also going to be immediately made available in the all-star battle events. Desghidorah I've actually been using in the events, since there's only currently 28 waves for some reason. He's actually very viable. He's got decent health, that decent damage, and since the levels of the battle pieces you're facing currently are not very high, Desghidorah can kind of wreck shop while he's available in those events. So again, that's some pretty cool stuff here, and the reason I said I was going to give Toho a little bit of a break for the very light patch that rebalanced some of the pieces is I didn't realize at the time that they were also going to be introducing this new piece. That means that they probably had a pretty hefty workload. So I'm going to let that one slide, because with this introduction of Desghidorah, that makes more sense now. Now, of course, we'll go over briefly the end of maintenance notice here, see if there's anything we've missed. This time they didn't quite complete it when they said they would. They said it would be completed at 0400 Pacific, which would be 4 a.m. Pacific or 7 a.m. Eastern. It took them a little longer than that. I think it was by about 8 a.m. Eastern that the game was up, somewhere in that neighborhood. So it wasn't down for a super extended period of time this time, so that's a plus. They also give us the G-Stones as an apology. I don't think they should refer to it as an apology, but they're giving us 150 G-Stones for being unable to access the game while the maintenance was going on. So as we've already had discussed here, the All-Star Battle featuring Jet Jaguar Catastrophic tomorrow, that has begun, and that was as of October the 15th. This one means that your necessary leader is Jet Jaguar. I find that a little bit unfortunate. I think a lot of members of the community have kind of agreed so far that the introductory leader units that were required to use for the events are really not viable leaders. They're not very valuable. Jet Jaguar has a little bit more value with his leader skill than Mothra did, but again, he's just like with Mothra, incredibly frail. So if you get up into some of those higher level events, or if you're a newer player and you don't have really powerful units yet, Jet Jaguar does not have much survivability at all, so he could easily be wrecked for newer players or even some experienced players. I did have in one of the waves where they drop Godzilla 89, he did manage to make it back to my Jet Jaguar because I was just getting really bad RNG with my units. And he did almost kill my Jet Jaguar, because my Jet Jaguar is only a level 1. I can't stand Jet Jaguar in game. I think he's a terrible unit. I haven't bothered pouring any resources into him. Other people disagree. That's fine. They probably got him at a higher level. But again, it's part of our issue with these events. Just give us a fun leader to use. Even Violente would be a better choice, in my opinion, for an all-star battle. But they did choose Jet Jaguar. I know a lot of people do like him. A lot of members of the community use him. He is still, I wouldn't say he's in the meta, but he's definitely still viable. Again, I was not excited when I heard Jet Jaguar was the next all-star battle event. Of course, they mention here what we just talked about. They added Desghidorah into the game, and they've done some shop updates. The limited edition Striker Famous Movie Pack, the anime poster pack, Godzilla Ultima, and they brought the Godzilla Singular Point collaboration pack back. For those of you who don't have their Terrestris as high as they'd like, I believe he is included in this collaboration pack, which means if it's a collaboration pack, it's either going to cost 2,000 or 2,300. I believe it's 2,300 gems. So that would be, again, you're gambling if you want to do that, but if you've got the excess gems and you don't mind taking a chance, they do have that pack in there, which is pretty cool that they brought it back. I don't mind that. The Striker Famous Movie Pack, it features a few new stickers from popular movie scenes, and it includes the 10,000 G tokens. I'm of the opinion 10,000 G tokens is just not a big deal. I can easily grind that out in a couple of hours. But there's a lot of people that don't grind as often or as hard as I do. So if you got the money and you want to invest in that pack, you know, go for it. It does have some benefit to it. I'm not as big into collecting the stickers. It's not a big deal to me. I'm going to pass it up. But for you guys that like collecting everything in-game, this is a good opportunity there. The anime poster pack is what I actually like. I believe it costs about 600 gems, which is not too bad. It includes the poster of Ultima from Singular Point and 10,000 G tokens. For 600 gems, you know, that's not too bad. I think that's the price is. I don't remember for sure. I've been having issues being able to get onto the game. Not because of the game itself. I've got a spotty internet connection for some reason today. But I believe it's for 600 points. Then we talked about the collab pack is back up now. Now it says here if you have already purchased a pack, it will not be available to repurchase and will not be displayed in the shop banner. So if you bought that previously, then it's not going to be there to buy again. I don't necessarily think that's a great idea, because that actually shoots yourself in the foot from a marketing perspective. If they bought it before, chances are they'll buy it again. Why eliminate an opportunity for additional revenue? I don't get that. Now, they also say the collab pack number 2 featuring Jaguar is scheduled to be available after maintenance on October 24th. So they're going to allow you opportunities to get both a pack that may contain a Terrestris if you get lucky, or a pack that may contain Jaguar. Again, since those are available in the Arena Expedition maps, I personally wouldn't spend money on them. I would just rather grind for the maps that way than spend the money on it. But it's not my money. If you guys want to do that, go ahead. Now they also talk about the battle adjustments that we already went through. But they also have extended the season, so the end date for this current season has been changed due to an upcoming campaign. I'm not super sure of what they mean by that, but they said the original end date was going to be October the 28th. Now they're moving it all the way up to November the 5th. It could be for a number of reasons. I don't really want to speculate. But I'm actually glad they extended the season, because the season started a little bit late this year. This month. And of course, they tell you that the new app version 1.4.3 is now available, and it is a mandatory upgrade, if I'm not mistaken. So let's just go back here and we'll see if there's anything else we want to discuss. We'll take a look at the details on the All-Star Battle. So, now, this does look like it addresses something that I've seen some concern expressed over from the community. It's that currently, users are reporting that they're only able to advance up to wave 28. Well, it looks like, according to this note here, that the waves and rewards are going to be added during the second half of the event. So I don't think, let's take a quick look here. The rewards sees the arrival of Desghidorah. Let's see. It started as of the 15th following maintenance. And the second half update looks like it's going to be coming as of October 25th after the maintenance then, and that's going to be a Monday. It looks like the end date is as of November 3rd. So for the individuals out there that were concerned about only having 28 waves to get through, just be aware Toho, for whatever reason, has chosen to split it up into two different halves, with the second half of the waves becoming available as of October the 25th. So don't worry guys, it's coming. You'll probably have more opportunities to gain more points from achievements and what have you. I don't understand the logic behind this really. I think it worked just fine with the previous iteration of the event, having full access to the waves regardless. I guess their concern is there was probably individuals, some whales out there, that did manage to get through all of the waves in a very short period of time. You know, I have some pretty high level pieces, but even I wasn't able to get past that final wave. I had got to wave 60, I think it was, one time, and I was not able to get through it due to some bad RNG. So that, I think, is why they chose to split it up into two waves, but I don't really understand what effect that's actually going to have, what benefit players or Toho gets from it. It's just a little unusual. Now, quick overview of the event, pretty much identical to what we experienced with the Technicolor Guardian. During the single-player event, players take command of all cards and fight alongside the predetermined leader unit. Any cards not owned will automatically be rented. What that means, in case you're a newer player or you didn't understand it in previous events, any units that you don't have, you're going to have access to at base level in the event missions, in the event battles. In honesty, it's honestly more harm than good because you get them at like level 1. I'm pretty sure it's just base level for any units not owned. And that just makes things a little more difficult because level 1 units, unless they're 4-star, are basically unusable. Now, they do discuss that the event is going to be held in 2 parts. During the first part, it's possible to play up to wave 30. I guess that would be because when you're selecting to start from mid-wave, it allows you to select starting from wave 28, but there are 3 waves that you play before you get to the boss. So that means you are able to get all the way up to wave 30. It's really not difficult for anybody who's been playing for a couple of months. Might be a little challenging for new players. Don't worry, I am going to make kind of a guide on how to approach these waves in an upcoming video. But honestly, wave 30 was still pretty easy for most players. So you should be able to get to that. Now, the difficulty level is such that even players who have just started the game can proceed. In the second period, it'll be possible to play up to wave 60, while new missions and event point rewards, will be added. So as I already imagined, we're still going to be able to get more of those event points and rewards from the missions. So it's a little bit different from the last time. Again, it just doesn't make sense to me. This event, as I've already mentioned, Jaguar is going to be the leader. Again, it's just a matter of then the game is played out exactly as an arena battle, except you're playing against the computer. And of course, the AI, well, it doesn't have to follow the same rules and mechanics that we do. It can drop, a dozen units on you all at once. It actually does force you to try to strategize, but you can't really strategize because all units in the game are going to be a part of your deck for the mission, for the event. That means that unless you're a whale who's managed to max out most, if not all, of your pieces, it's going to be a little difficult to get to those usable pieces. So, I don't like that. I think you should have the option of bringing in a specified team. There's just ways that I think this could have been better implemented. Having all 30-some cards available to you is just not great. It was something I actually learned from playing the Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card game back in the day. God, that makes me feel old. But anyway, the idea is you want to keep your deck small as possible in order to make sure you have the best odds of drawing the card that you need. Same principle applies to this game. Now, the more and more cards you add to the deck, the less likely you are to draw one that's actually going to be helpful to you. I think this is a mechanic that needs to be changed. If you guys have some ideas on the changes you'd like to see in this, let me know in the comments below, because I'm not sure how to fix this to make it better. So I'm curious to see what you guys think. Now, the how to play, of course, for anyone who hasn't done this before, you tap on the event button, which is at the bottom right of the screen. You click on the All-Star Battle to start fighting the waves. Each battle you participate in, each time you select to start a wave, that's a better way to describe it, will consume an event ticket. Now, the tickets do replenish every day. You start each day with 4 tickets. The way that it works, you enter a battle, you fight through 3 waves of AI-controlled units, you protect your leader, and you destroy the enemy leader, just like in a ranked battle. The difference is that after you win a battle, you will immediately proceed into the next wave, and I believe any damage that your leader has taken will carry over into the subsequent waves. So you gotta be careful. Protecting your leader is much more important, especially as you get into the higher levels of this event battle. So basically the way that translates, 1 ticket will get you through 3 waves, and you go either until you defeat that wave, or you are defeated. If you are defeated in a wave, you do have the opportunity to restart the wave that you lost on immediately by spending gems. I think the cost is 100 gems, if I'm not mistaken. I don't recommend doing that unless you are really confident in it, because that will only be one, I believe, up to 2 opportunities you have to spend gems to restart a lost wave. The gems, in my opinion, are better spent on actually purchasing the event tickets. The way that I would recommend doing it is, if you lose a wave, just take that loss. If you're out of tickets, you can go back and try again. And when you'll be given the prompt to purchase event tickets for 150 gems. The benefit is that gives you 4 tickets. So the value per gem is much higher, spending them on replenishing the event tickets rather than restarting an individual wave. Um, like we talked about earlier here, you can use units that aren't part of your regular deck. Each wave consists of those 3 consecutive battles. You will not be able to redeploy any cards on the battlefield after they've been withdrawn. So what that means is that within that wave, there will be no ability for you to play any unit a second time. I've never seen that come up as an issue. Every single battle that I've been a part of, I have never once used or needed to use every single card that I had. The battles are always over long before then, whether you win or lose, so that's not important. One thing to clarify is that you can still use that unit in a subsequent wave. So let's say that you deploy Godzilla 89 on wave 1. You can't use him again in wave 1, but he will be usable again in wave 2. That's an important distinction that Toho doesn't really make clear here. But I have been able to do that, and it's something, some of this stuff is just, you've got to learn it on your own just by going through it, because the game doesn't do a great job of explaining these things, nor do these blog posts. Now, if you reach a checkpoint during the wave battle, your progress is saved, and you'll return to the event screen. Once you're back to that event screen, you can select to either start from a particular wave that you've already gotten through all 3 battles and you've reached that checkpoint, or you'll be able to go on to the next 3 waves. You earn mission points by clearing event missions. I really wish you could earn event points every time you complete the checkpoint. So every time you beat the boss, I think they should reward you, say, 50 event points, but they don't. The only time you're getting points is by clearing the missions related to the event. Now, they're pretty generous about awarding the points. If you farm Wave 10, just like last season, if you farm from Wave 10, you're going to be defeating enough units that each time you do that, you'll be completing a mission, and you'll be getting 50 points for every, I believe it's every 100 or so units that you defeat. And then, of course, those points that you earn go to the trade shop under the shop tab, and you can spend them for the G tokens, you can spend them for maps, you can spend them to get monster shards, including one for Jaguar, and the opportunity to obtain Desghidorah. Getting that 1500 points to get Desghidorah, again, it's not that difficult. If you do manage to make it through those first 28 waves, you should be able to either have enough to get him at that point, or you're pretty close that you can start farming Wave 10 and collecting those mission rewards, and it won't take long. I managed to get him. I think I spent about, I think it took me a grand total of 300 gems in order to complete the waves, as well as get enough points to earn Desghidorah. It does kind of as well depend on how many points you did not spend in the previous season. Any points that are unspent at the end of one of these events do carry over to the next event. That's also a really cool part about it. They don't really make that clear in this part of the blog post, but it is important to know. So if you aren't the type of person that wants to spend your points on the titles or the posters or any of those things, you can save them up. They carry over to the next season, and who knows what the event rewards will be then. So if there's not enough stuff that you like in the shop right now, feel free to save those points, and maybe next month there'll be something in there. Now, this kind of goes over what the rewards are, including the Jaguar battle piece and the Desghidorah that I've already spoken about. The title you can get is the Otaki Factory Employee. If you haven't seen Singular Point yet, they're a big part of Godzilla Singular Point. I know a lot of people out there really had mixed feelings towards the anime series. I kind of like it, but I would have much rather had a different title here. Otaki Factory Employee, just not impressive. It does give you the option for a player icon, which it actually looks pretty cool. I do think I'm going to spend some of my points on that. It also gives you a pretty cool poster for Godzilla Singular Point that you can then use on your home page, as well as the background, which is Tokyo Evening. I'm one of those players that I don't really care about the background, and it does give you the ability to buy a legendary expedition map. In my case, I didn't get anything really exciting from it. I got Violente. Now, I love Violente. Violente is actually my all-time favorite kaiju, especially the plant beast form. I think it is just an awesome kaiju, and Godzilla vs. Violente was a fantastic movie. If you're a Godzilla fan and you haven't seen it, I know you'll be able to on numerous streaming platforms. You're able to rent it. Obviously, I'm not gonna give free press to any of these platforms. You know them, and you know ways that you can watch them. But if you haven't seen Godzilla vs. Violente, go out and watch it. Preferably with the English with Japanese. Strike that, reverse it. Japanese with the English subtitles. I think you get more out of the story that way than with the English dub. But yeah, great movie. Anyway, sorry to get sidetracked there. Now, it does say that the custom background will also be obtainable in future events. That's another part of the reason that I'm not going to bother spending my points on those, is because they are saying, hey, you'll be able to obtain it again at some point down the road. Some of these other rewards, they say, may also become available again in the future. I don't like that one word in there, that it may be available again in the future. That gives them sort of a loophole to say, hey, we didn't say for sure they'd be available. Toho could always suddenly decide, oh, we're not going to make this particular item available again. They haven't done that so far, but the fact that they're leaving themselves that out, that does concern me a little bit. Now, it does mention here at the very end, the 4-star Desghidorah unit will be available exclusively as an all-star battle event point reward, or via those special maps. Now, it also says that Desghidorah, as we touched on earlier, is going to appear as the EP reward for all-star battles going forward. So, the way they word it here, it sounds like he's going to be available basically in perpetuity from these all-star battles. That, again, is just such a great release method for such a cool character. I hope that in the future that they choose to do this with a character like Destroya's final form. and make him as important and as powerful as something like a Desghidorah. Maybe even make him the first, 8 or more energy cost unit. I know that would make Sir Melee happy, and I certainly wouldn't mind it. Also, if you guys want to, let me know in the comments who else you would like to see released using this method. I mean, Destroya is a great option, but there's a lot of great kaiju out there that haven't been yet introduced to the game, and this is such a player-friendly method of doing it that it opens up the door for a lot of discussion amongst the community about, hey, who are we going to get next, and who we'd like to see next. And it opens up the door for Toho that they can focus on one particular unit that they really, really want to market, and then kind of drop them in here like they did with Desghidorah without much fanfare. The thing that doesn't make sense to me is the fact that they didn't announce this unit beforehand. They didn't build any kind of anticipation for it, which is just really unfortunate. I think that would have done an excellent job of keeping those players active that were thinking, well, I'm not liking the game right now, I think I'm gonna move away from it. Or by marketing it properly, you could have gotten a whole bunch of new players to come in the door saying, hey, this thing looks really badass, I want to be able to use this thing in battle. That could have gotten new players in the door. This was a really big missed opportunity for Toho in the marketing, and that just seems to kind of be their MO right now. I mean, the only one that's being marketed appropriately at this time is Kiryu, the Mechagodzilla from the 2000s. They announced the winner of the poll to see who was going to be added on Godzilla Day. Kiryu won that, and they've done a great job of building the hype around that and the anticipation. I think they could be doing even better with that, but I also wish they would have done something like that with Desghidorah in terms of the marketing. Even just teasing who could it be. I think they need to utilize social media better in marketing their game, saying, hey, we've got this great surprise unit, maybe dropping little hints as to who it could possibly be. That would have been a great marketing avenue. It's something that is commonly done in many other gacha games, most notably Marvel Strike Force, who actually does, if nothing else, Scopely and Boundless, the developers of Marvel Strike Force, does a great job of marketing their new tunes. So I think Toho needs to get on the ball, start looking at better marketing, and that marketing, no matter how they do it, just getting that name out there might also help to bring some of those players we've lost back, or at the very least, replace them with new players. So again, I'm not sounding the fire alarm saying that the game is in trouble, but it definitely needs some help, and Toho's not doing a great job from a PR standpoint of taking care of those issues and those concerns. Looks like the last couple sections here, I'm just going to go through these real briefly here. I know I've been rambling now for a little while. They've got the event Challenger pack here, which is for the Catastrophic Tomorrow. It's got the 3,800 gems, it's got 5,000 G tokens, plus you do have a chance of discovering Jaguar or Desghidorah. So again, the drop rates for a 4-star, I'm going to continue to mention this because it's so easily overlooked. The drop rates for a 4-star from these maps is only 3%. They advertise it at having a higher drop rate for these units, but that is only if you get lucky and you get that 4-star unit, and then even then, you still only have a 33%, or I believe the catastrophic tomorrow is a 66% chance. They make that sound really good, but they kind of hide the fact that you still only have a 3% chance that a 4-star will even show up in that pack. Keep it in mind, and make sure that anybody you know that's playing these games, make sure you explain that to them, because a lot of people have missed that, and Toho is still not doing a good job of explaining how these RNG mechanics works, and people are throwing away money because they think they've got a great chance of getting these units. They really don't. So again, guys, pay attention to that part, please. I don't want to see you guys wasting your money. And they also have the event missions that are going to be available. We briefly have discussed those already. They're going to be under the special mission screen. Clearing all of the special missions will earn a total of 4,000 event points. That means if you're like me, I've already spent 1,500 to get my Desghidorah, and I think I've already gotten the legendary map as well. Pretty sure that I have. So that doesn't leave a whole lot of room afterwards. It only leaves you about 500 more points to spend. So be careful with that. They've told us now up front how many points we're going to have. We can go to the shop, we can tally up the costs of the rewards we want, and figure out a way to determine which rewards you're going to choose to get. In my case, I might get that Godzilla poster. I might choose to get the background, but it's kind of to the point where I personally think I might just hold on to those extra 500 points. So, anyways, that is all for the patch notes for today. Again, I know I'm late in discussing these, but let me know your thoughts on the patch notes. My contact info for Facebook's going to be down there. My email if you want to chat personally. I'm also still leaving the link to Sir Melee's Discord server. Also, go over to that Discord server if you need help or advice, or if you just want to chat with some like-minded folks. We're all great Godzilla fans over there. We're all really hyped about this game. And it's a pretty friendly group of people that's more than willing to help in building the decks, in information about the game, strategies, and things like that. So it's a great resource for you to use if these YouTube videos aren't doing it enough for you. So now that I'm completely tongue-tied and twisted, I want to take a moment. Thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. Look forward to some more content here. Probably not till next week. Got a pretty busy weekend. Most likely going to be doing the event guide. Probably by Monday I'm going to shoot for. So in the meantime, again, thank you so much. Like, share, and subscribe. All that good stuff. For now, I'm signing off. Peace!